Hey y'all, so it's a couple of hours later. Right now it's about 9:45. I wanted to talk about this Bob Barker. That's his name, Bob Barker from The Price is Right. So I finally got to see the Rotten Scandals of 2026 with the Bob Barker The Price is Right show on E. I saw it this afternoon, and the only thing I can say about this man is he's a monster and he's disgusting. This is the perfect description of what I thought about him. I sat here for a whole hour watching some of the episodes, and I didn't know Bob Barker was like that as a human being. I've been watching The Price is Right for years because of my grandmother. And every single time I would get so excited about seeing it. Now, some of the TV shows that my grandmother used to love watching became my favorites, and I still watch it to this day. And I thought this man was one of a kind. I thought he was really nice, he was sweet, and he could be a little funny sometimes because when the contestants come up to them, they be wanting to hug him. He'd be like, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." But now I saw the real meaning behind it. Bob Barker doesn't like black peoples. Only time he will, how you say, he will catch himself liking a black person is if it's a woman and he gets to sexually harass her. Now, there was two black women that was his beauties on the show, which was, so funny to me because I never did like this woman, but now I'm starting to like her more. And I'm trying to remember her name. She was also on The Real Housewives too, but she was on here, and her accounts of what happened with her with the executive producer was shocking and disgusting. And I felt bad for her because she was just another person who was getting ready to get on the show, and this guy groped her. And I thought it was like out of control. So, you know how it's funny how, back in the days, sexual harassment wasn't that popular because nobody said anything. Even though it was happening behind the scenes, but it wasn't fully out in the public eye. Not as much as we would like for it to be. Nowadays, yeah, it's fully out in the public eye. You want to talk about being one of those women that was on, how you say, it was My Body, My Choice, the Me Too women. Just like they say on that show, they was the first real Me Too set of women because each and every one of them had similar experiences with the executive producer and Bob, how they was constantly touching them the wrong way. They were saying a lot of inappropriate stuff. Just listen to what Bob was saying, and then the fact that he had the audacity to take this woman to court and sue her for defamation of character because she told the world what she experienced. She spoke nothing but the truth about her experience. And this is the one thing I wanted to get out there for everybody to see, because I had two encounters with two different companies about this situation too. Because you speak facts about your experience with somebody on the job, they feel like it's defamation of character. It's not defamation of character when it's the truth. And not only that, it's the truth, but you have receipts. Now, back in the days, women had proof in old school ways, whether it's through word of mouth or by somebody else watching. But nowadays, there's videos. There's witnesses, and nowadays a lot of women are not afraid to speak up. So let me be really clear and specific about why I said this, because it happened to me with a job. So I used to work at this company, another company, a couple of years ago, back in 2022. And if y'all seen any of my videos from that year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is how you know you're one of my OGs. I'm not gonna say it, y'all just go look at it. I was working at this company for about 2.5 months, and I didn't even make it on the third month because I quit. So when the supervisor was introducing me to everybody that was already working there, I felt like I was at home. I felt like, okay, I could be comfortable. These people look like they're about family, and they treated each other like they was family. And in particular, this one guy who was the cook at this restaurant took a liking to me. And when I say he was focused, he was really fucking focused on me. I didn't realize it until maybe about the second week of me working there. So normally I would stay at the we call it the lunch area. You can't call it a cafeteria area. It was an eating area, the dining area, and I was sitting there waiting until we start work. And everybody used to go to the park to smoke, and this is one of the reasons why my supervisor didn't like this, is she made it clear to everybody, along with the manager, to never smoke before you go to work. They don't want to smell it, and then you could tell if you're high or not on your behavior. So somebody went back and told my manager about everybody smoking before coming to the job. And then when the manager came to look at what everybody was doing, she noticed the behavior was very freaking crazy, very immature. Everybody was being loud. They was telling jokes, doing shenanigan stuff while working on the clock. And he was one of those people that was very high, that was talking his shit and everything. So right after the work, he was trying to talk to me. And I was hoping for somebody to see this, because everybody kept telling me dating on the job was bad. Don't try to be friendly. If you want to be friends, that's fine, but don't be too friendly to the point it's going to lead to something more. And if anybody was to try to holler at you on the job, just say no. And I was like, well, I was going to do that anyway, because why would I find anybody attractive on this job? And then two, my mind was focused on this job because I'm in love with this job. I was in love with the company because I've been wanting to work there for years. So in my mind, I'm thinking there's no way I could let this guy screw up my chances on working here. But after I denied him of what he wanted, and I don't know, for some reason, I forgot why we stopped talking, but he went behind my back and started talking shit about me. And when I came to the job the next day, this was on a Wednesday, my supervisor and my coworker came up to me and told me what happened, and they defended me according to them. So I was like, okay. And this is the perfect example of what I say about sexual harassment, or just being harassed, period, or just being talked about and being made feel uncomfortable. So I come into the restaurant, everybody's looking at me like I did something wrong. And throughout the day while we was working, I felt this sense of, uncomfortability and annoyance, because a lot of people was constantly staring at me, and they were snickering behind my back, talking about me, and they couldn't find out this man was saying a whole bunch of untrue stuff about me that was so degrading, so disgusting. But instead of it bothering me, I left it alone and I went to work at the snack station. And about a couple of days later, everybody started turning on me. So long story short, this went on for 2 weeks straight. Nobody wanted to get over it but me, and I was too proud to leave it alone. So I end up having to leave the job for two reasons. One, because I was annoyed by my coworkers and the fact that they thought they could tell me what to do. But two, the fact that I was being constantly harassed and being disrespected by him on the job, and it made everything uncomfortable. I told them to move me to the other side of the place of my job, and they didn't want to. So I quit. So I wanted to file a complaint against him, which I did, but nothing happened. Like, justice wasn't served. So I left the job. And the first thing on my mind was fighting. But instead of fighting, I just left it alone, because I'm like, it's not worth it. My freedom, my sanity is not worth it. It's not worth losing it. So I understand how these girls was made to feel. You come on the job, you try your hardest every time to be the best you can be, and there's always somebody that's trying to make it worse for you. and then you got you a bunch of haters. I never thought men could be in competition with you, more or less be a hater of you. And they would do everything they can to sabotage you and your job. So that's exactly how I felt. And these women took the high road. They got themselves an attorney. They went to court. They won their case. I chose not to do it that way. I chose to leave. I felt like I took the high road and I just left everybody alone. Now, when I made this video on my YouTube channel explaining how I felt, one of my coworkers saw the video, went back and told everybody on the job that I was talking about them, and then they must have relayed the message to her, and like in the heated way, so about, well, if she keeps talking about us, then we could sue her for defamation of character. So I thought it was funny, and I was like, well, you cannot sue me for telling the truth. And I don't give a shit how you feel or whether or not you want to take me to court, because I will prove to the judge what's been going on. I prove to the judge why it happened the way it happened and why I quit. And I will also prove to the judge that, you know, it's very high in this workplace where sexual harassment happens, where people are trying to sleep with others. And then it's the entitlement for me. And you know, that's the one thing I can't stand about certain men out here working on the job. You feel entitled to girls' bodies because you either their supervisor, you're their boss, or you're their coworker. And then you feel like, well, no other girl has turned you down because look at you. Why would somebody turn you down? And I'm sitting here like, the nerve. First of all, I don't know who told you or filled your head up with lies about you being that nigga. Like you are that cute or you got it going on or whatever the case is. But everybody don't have the same taste in men. So other girls out here might look at you as cute, I might not look at you as cute because you're not my type. And I had to express this to so many people because time and time again, these guys was full of themselves thinking I might want them, that I might find them attractive. No, I don't. Because if you understood what type of man that I go for, you would not be so sure of yourself. You would be more embarrassed because the type of guys I go for don't look like you. And like I say, the only person that knows me very well is my brother. My brother's the only one that witnessed every guy I ever dated, even guys I had crushes on. And he sees a pattern. Yes, I do have a type. And no, it was nobody like him. Because this guy, he was tall, beer belly, balding, with very few teeth. He drinks and smokes. In what period, in what time, in what area, like what lifetime you think that might be my type? I told this guy, don't embarrass yourself being so cocky and full of yourself because you're not my type. And then on top of that, it was the sense of entitlement. Well, if you can't give me what I want, I will report you. And yet they want to get upset with me because I made a video about them and they want to claim that it's slandering. No, it's not slandering. You feel like you was entitled to my body and you feel like if I can't give you what you want sexually, that you would try to sabotage me and make me lose my job. He never got the chance to do that, by the way. Instead, he got in trouble for that. And I felt like nobody had my back but HR. HR heard both sides of the story. They believed me over them and they felt so bad for me. But then they still didn't want to move me. They wanted to keep me in that same area. So I had to bite the bullet and just leave. I was like, let me go find another job. Hopefully the next job I have will appreciate me for everything, because this made no sense. I never ever been in a company that didn't defend women and their body and their choices. It was like, you don't have a choice in certain job areas. It's like either you give it up or you lose your job. So that's exactly what it was like for Bob Barker and The Price is Right. A lot of women in there had very few options and they had no choice because he wants what he wants. Perfect example. He feel like if you don't fit the description that he wants and he likes, you're off the job. If you don't give up the cookie or let them touch you, fill up on you, you're off the job. That is so disgusting to me. That is just the most disgusting, degrading, and diabolical shit I've ever seen in my life. I didn't want to watch the rest of the episode. It was 2 parts, I think it was. I couldn't watch the rest of it because I already had enough of it. And then I did watch the Diddy video. I watched halfway through and I couldn't watch the rest of it because my stomach couldn't handle it. But I don't understand why guys is like this. Why men act this way. There's millions of other girls in the city. And you choose to go crazy over 1 or 2 women that don't want to give it up, that don't want to have nothing to do with you, that have standards and respect for themselves. So if you feel like since all the other girls in the city want you, that means we gotta want you too. And if we don't want you, then we're the twisted ones. We're the ones that have no taste. We're the ones that got something wrong with us. Something gotta be wrong with you because you're not like every other girl out here chasing after a guy, being obsessed with the guy, have to have him. You gotta be the one that has psychological issues, okay? So if we're all of this in a bag of chips, then fine, we'll wear it as a badge. But you would never get somebody like us to chase after you, or even, how you say it, downgrade us. We are not downgrading ourselves to be with you. We deserve better, okay? My body, my choice. No is a complete sentence, and my body, my choice. Need I say more?